Let me ask you your expectations for how high unemployment gets. And I suppose in answering that, you have to make an assumption about how many businesses will furlough instead of making people redundant.
Yeah, look, I think it's almost impossible to predict how high unemployment will go. We certainly know it will rise. The OBR in their scenario suggested it would get as high as 10%. But I think importantly, they suggested it would fall back to 7% by the end of the year. So I think we are expecting unemployment to increase, but the hope is that it is as that increase is as short-lived as possible. And, of course, the job retention scheme has been so important. We know from talking to businesses around the country that it has saved jobs in real time. The Chancellor yesterday said 1 million jobs had already been supported just through the claims that were processed yesterday. So it absolutely has helped to keep unemployment down. And that's why it's been so important. And it was so important that the Chancellor extended that scheme for another month, which should help us through the next few weeks.
So the idea, Rain, is to build a bridge, so to speak, from the government-ordered shutdown of the economy until it can be reopened again. How do you think the UK has done at this? Obviously, different countries have made different attempts and have had different success levels.
Yeah, look, I think what's been really impressive about the UK approach is just how we've seen the Treasury and the Bank of England work together. We've also seen business and the government be completely in listening mode. We've been speaking with the Treasury daily about how this job retention scheme is designed, how it can be improved, how we can make sure that it reaches as many businesses as possible. And I think the UK's program is very comprehensive, and the job retention scheme is very generous, and that is the key part, is supporting jobs and supporting as many businesses through this crisis. I think where the UK has fallen behind is on the speed of how quickly some of the loans, the business interruption loan scheme, which is a way of businesses getting finance from the banking system, that has been slower than we would have liked, particularly for smaller businesses, and that is creating a challenge. We know 8 in 10 businesses are facing challenges around their cash flow, and that's one of the areas we've just got to make it work faster and at scale. What we can't afford at the moment is time, and I think no one wants to look back and regret some of the policies. Were we too slow getting some of these policies out there? And that's where I think, the banks are under huge operational challenges.
Yeah, and Rain, Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, was asked this yesterday, whether he would go so far as to give a 100% guarantee on those business interruption loans so that banks could get them out of the door, get the money out of the door quicker. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to stick with 80. Does business think 100% would make a difference?
We do think 100% would make a difference. It's not a silver bullet. I think one of the areas we really need to focus on is getting as many loans, supporting some of those very small businesses. So how can we make it easier for businesses who are looking for loans under £25,000? The smaller businesses who are running our high street shops. But I think even for larger businesses, it needs to be quicker for them to go to their bank and get the loan that they need. Businesses tell us they need days, not weeks. And I think that is partly about extending the guarantees and 100%. I noticed the Chancellor said he's not persuaded yet. Now, I always think that means maybe there's an opportunity there. But I think it's looking at other ways of making it easier. So maybe extending the term of some of those loans. And just making it easier for banks to do that viability assessment on businesses as quickly as possible, so that firms can get the support they need to get through these critical weeks ahead.